to all the participants and the speaker of this session. Today we have very great privilege to have Dr. Siddhartha Choudhary sir with us. Presently he is working as a design director at the Frog Design. He has a 15 years of experience in designing interaction and digital experience across various mediums and the industries. He has worked with the Frog, where he is leading and gradually building Frog Delhi studio based in Gurgaon with 16-member design team and growing and design directions for suite of enterprise and consumer applications. He has worked with Samsung Saplex, the industries, consumer electronics, news medias, financial applications, analytics, advertising systems. He has also worked with the Nokia, NSCIT, National Stock Exchange, Global Logic, SAP Labs, Fly Systems. He has a very wonderful experience, and it is a great privilege to have you, sir, in the Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management during this 1 month faculty induction program. I heartily welcome you, sir. Today, sir will enlightening us on a very interesting topic, that is applications of design thinking. So without much delay, I would like to invite sir to take over the session and enlightening us upon this topic, applications of design thinking. Sir, please.
Sure. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for introduction, Dr. Vishal and Dr. Huda for this opportunity. I will not again waste time again, and I'll directly go to the agenda. And yeah, I have been practicing design for last 15 years after graduating from National Institute of Design. I did my engineering, and after that postgraduate I am from National Institute of Design in information design. And yeah, since then I've been working. So last 15 years I've been working, and so I'll cover here design thinking, which is very talked about kind of topic these days. Uh, but I will also go to what is design, and I would also so my expect I assume that most of the participants uh, might not be aware with the design field very much. That is my assumption. But if you are, and if you already know, then maybe it is good. I think you can relate it better. We will have a design thinking workshop. I have some activity, so we will go through that. I think it is around 50 minutes. There are five steps to kind of go through, so maybe 50 minutes. And you might share one or two examples, and then I'll talk about why design thinking is needed. What is good design, universal principles of design, and about frog. So this is the agenda. I think very packed agenda, and I think I hope we can actually cover in next 2 hours. So I think I'll just go to the what is design thinking. By definition, design thinking is a non-linear iterative process that team use to understand users, challenge assumptions, redefine problems in an attempt to identify alternative strategies, solutions, create innovative solutions to prototype and test. So this is again very theoretical, I would say, definition. And but I think in a nutshell, what design thinking uh, is to provide solution based approach to problem solving. It is a way of thinking, right, and working, as well as collection of hands on methods, right? So how you ideate by creating, not actually starting what to create, but you explore the whole process by creating. You also try to identify the problems by getting involved in the system, right? So that is design thinking is about. The 5 stages of design thinking is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And I think we will talk about more going forward. But before actually going into the design thinking more, I will briefly take you through design, and what is design, right? So Just so, what is design? I mean, any of one. I mean, I just want to have it little interactive, and if possible, any one of you want to share your experiences and your understanding what is design.
You can please open the chat window also if you have not opened. In top menu, there is a chat option, sir. In the apart sharing menu, sir.
Okay, okay, yeah, sure.
So
Thank you.
participants can interact you with the chat window, sir.
Yeah, framework of doing work. Yes. So don't hesitate. I think it is. oh, I mean, anything comes to your mind, please you can share. Uh, Nothing is right or wrong. So that's the one thing in design, that nothing is right or wrong. It is the perspective, right? So yeah, plan of construction, uh, yeah, creation, yes, yeah. I think we're getting right responses. And again, as I said, nothing is right or wrong. So I'll just go to you know. Uh, the definition of it, or maybe how do you understand. So in Hindi, the I could not find actually any uh, very, you can say, nearest word in Hindi for it. But the one thing what I actually came to my mind, and after a little bit of research, was abhikalpana. So abhikalpana is actually, if you just break abhikalpana, abhi plus kalpana, if you do sandhi vichhed or whatever, so it is actually imagination. Kalpana is imagination. So I think what we derive from abhikalpana is actually giving shape or form to imagination, right? So that is design, in a very short form. Whatever is coming to your mind, giving shape to that. Uh, Definition of design, again, I think, as you were talking, you guys shared, creation of plan, or construction of an object, measurable human interaction. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think one of the, I think the recent, which is actually used in user experience, is design is a work process which has user's perspective and drives development based on your specific customers. So that is kind of design. And I'll just give you a little case study here. This is lucky iron fish. Okay, and lucky iron fish is one of the products. And I'll tell you why I'm sharing this, but let me take you through this first. So this is the product. This is the lucky iron fish product. And yeah, it actually got Cannes Lion International Festival of Creativity, the best product design award, right, in France, in I think 2012 or something. If you see this product, this is not a very elegant, or not very polished or finished product, uh, but it actually got a best product design award, right? So what was behind it? I mean, why it actually got that? So just going to the core of it, the problem of 60% of pregnant Cambodian women are anemic, and as a result of dietary iron deficiency, there is a premature labor, childbirth, and many other complications, right? So this product was actually designed by Christopher Charles, who was undergraduate in biomedical sciences student. And yeah, he, after a lot of research, actually he designed it. And yeah, so the one question comes to our mind is, why fish and why iron, right? Obviously iron deficiency, so it has to be iron. But I think during the research, uh, what they found, that they started with, I think the one of the ways to kind of meet the iron deficiency is iron tablets, right? But those are expensive. uh, in the kind of developing nations, and countries like Cambodia, where you have to be really cost efficient. The iron piece actually works very well. So what you do, you actually, if you wash the iron piece, cook it with the rice, why you just place it in rice and cook it. So this, the whole rice or whatever, anything what you're cooking or vegetable you're cooking, it will become iron rich, right? So that is the whole process. But why, I mean, why fish? Why not something else, right? And any ideas that anyone, why fish? Okay, so I think let me just go through. Uh, the reason of coming to fish was, I mean, they started researching. They started with piece of iron, and they asked people to keep it in their vessel while cooking. I think people started doing it, but then later actually they did not follow it, because either the iron piece was lost, it was placed somewhere, they used it some other purpose, right? But it was not used after some time for cooking purpose. I mean, for which it was actually done. But the shape of fish, it was after a lot of research, it was they arrived the shape of fish. I think several reasons for this. It actually fits very well, as a part of food. So fish is a part of food. It fits very well in your vessel, right? It belongs there. So that fish is also auspicious. And if it is auspicious, it actually, you will not lose it. You'll keep it safely, and you will be a little cautious about it. So when the with the just giving the shape of this fish, and also the whole idea of not making it so elegant, but little rustic, and little raw, kind of people accepted it quite well, and they actually started using it, and other as a result of it, it actually reached to 44% of population and resulting GDP, which could have resulted in a GDP loss of $70 billion, right? So just look at the impact, right? Look at the impact of this small product, just iron piece, and what it can do. And that's why talking about design thinking, it is very important to talk about people who are going to use it, understand their culture, their context, and then design it. I mean, any product, any we can just design a very nice fancy product, but it might not be used. If it is not used, then it is not a good product, a good design. So that's why I think the whole notion of good design is not a very shiny or elegant product. Not only, I mean, it has to solely be elegant, but it has to suit the context. And then sometimes, as Steve Jobs said, what works. Design is not only what it looks like, but what works, right? So it is, the function is also very important piece of design, not only the look and feel, because a lot of time we all actually perceive design as a look and feel point of view. So I just wanted to just place this example very well here, because it is very relevant to just open our minds that design is not only at a look and feel level, but it has a very deeper connection and understanding. So another example is Hippo Roller. Some of the products which are actually creating a lot of impact and reaching to the real needs of the user. I mean, just think about with this product, people who used to carry water on their heads, for long distance, how easy, how it makes their life so easy, right? And they can actually carry a lot of amount of water, in one go. So with a lot of ease. So design should always. I mean, what we are deriving from here is that design should always have a purpose and impact. Impact could be obviously smaller, bigger. There would be social impact, business impact, right? But it has to have a purpose and impact. Then only I think you can say it is a good design. Otherwise, it might just be for a showcase purpose, right? So that's why design has a little deeper context. As we were talking about design and how do you differentiate between design and art. Design has a purpose and an impact, while art is a self-expression. Design has a user focused group. Art has obviously users. There are users, but then no specific users in mind. It is open to individuals perception. I mean, some people will like it, some people will not like it. Even today I think people have started doing art for specific user groups. But I think the whole idea of art is actually self expression and not keeping any user in mind. How you can express yourself, either through painting, through your maybe art form, dance, your video or film, your maybe sculpture, any art form, right? But it is actually self-expression. Like in movies, you see, this art form is now kind of very focused on the what kind of users this movie is made, and you know so obviously things are kind of little tweaked a little bit, but the real essence of art is self-expression. So here, I think in design you have a specific user group, right? But here in art you don't have that specific user group. So that's how uh, design has a little purpose. And
I request to all participants, please wait. There is some network issue at the speaker end. He is connecting in the next 2 minutes.
in art, and Yeah, so just briefly going to origin of design. Okay, and so origin of design has its roots in nature. I mean, uh, we all think how did the design discipline evolve and everything, right? How do we start creating products? How do we start visualizing things? And it has its root in nature, right? Either from look and feel point of view, or functionality for, or utility point of view. Whatever you see, it has its root in nature. And yeah, so I think there's something called Gestalt's law, which is kind of foundation of design, right? And Gestalt's law, I think you just note down right now. I think it'll be too much to kind of absorb right now, but I'll just briefly go over it. And Gestalt's is actually a foundation of design, or design discipline, you can say. Falls around this is like a basic principles of design. So things like proximity, common fate, continuity, similarity, closure, common region and symmetry are the constituents of Gestalt's law. And what it says is organized whole that is perceived more than the sum of its parts. I think you can research more, because otherwise this whole session will go into that. I think proximity is that if the objects are kept closer, they form group, right? So you perceive them as a group. Closure, even if there are dotted lines, you still see as a shape, like circle, like rectangle. Similarity, you perceive objects similar if they are provided, suppose similar color or similar shape or something like that. Symmetry, I think human figure is one example of symmetry or order. I think in nature you will see so many examples of symmetry, right? Which actually makes products beautiful. And I think the underlying principles would be symmetry and a harmony. Continuity, if there is some kind of and movement, then I think it kind of perceives as a continuous continuous path or something like that. Figure versus ground, I think human eye isolates shapes from its background. So I think you see faces first and the vase later, right? In this, so that's the whole idea, of figure and ground. And how do we got introduced to design commercially? And why I'm talking about this, because we can all just go into the design thinking directly and start thinking about it, but it is very important to think about what is our root of design and how do we got introduced to it, and what was the whole. So the origin of design has been, we first started building our house. If you just go to any civilization, first thing you kind of notice is that the basic needs which we had, right? Roti, kapda, makan. So actually, roti and kapda, whatever were there, obviously design is part of that as well. But I think first we got introduced to design when we start building our houses. And you see in today's time, there is architecture, is a discipline which is much evolved in this direction. Information architecture in the software area is also very kind of derived from the architecture. So the metaphor architecture is used to kind of depict the structure of the application, which we talk about in today's time, right? And yeah, so why do you think design started early in the West, in Europe and US? Any guesses from anybody? Am I not audible?
You are audible, sir.
I'm getting someone, I think. Okay, maybe I'll not use time here and maybe directly go there. I think first maybe if everything can be on mute. Yeah, thank you. So I think first we got introduced to design in the West. The reason was industrial revolution, right? First we started doing the textiles, machinery, steam power, iron, steel. So when we started doing products, obviously the need of design actually originated there, right? And we started thinking about design because when you're doing products, you're visualizing products. Design is very integrated part of it. And one of our kind of great man and great, you can say, creator, ideator, innovator, who's Leonardo, who actually sketched a lot of things in I think a lot before, where before even it was kind of even thought to create. And things like you see, obviously starting from Mona Lisa, human figure, this is the kind of flight, design for flight. All this aeroplane design has been evolved from there. The kind of helicopter design, the design for tanks, design for pulleys, which is crane, used in crane, and the parachute, right? So these are designed by Leonardo. Again, as I talked about, how he put all his imagination into the sketches, even though those times it was not possible. It was He was way ahead of his time, but he actually visualized all those things. Also in the area of biology, how he visualized the whole thing, human embryo, uh, you know to help in the medical field, right? So he was way ahead of his time. But yeah, even today, and people, all the innovators, Wright brothers, actually use these design to kind of prototype their aeroplane model. So just yeah. So now I think I'll just come to the workshop. So this was kind of brief about design and what design is. Uh, and yeah, and now I'll
Sir,
come to
your
the
voice is
workshop. Can you
breaking.
see my slide changing?
Sir, we can see the slide, but voice is breaking, sir.
Do you see 5 stages of design thinking? Can you hear me, Dr. Vishal?
No, sir. It is showing
Yep. Acha, acha, okay. Uh, so I'll
Leonardo.
just, I think with the, let's go ahead with the slide because I'm trying to connect from, phone audio call, but somehow it is not connecting. Some issue, I think. Uh,
Now it is 5 stages of design thinking, sir.
do you see my slide changing now?
Yes, sir. Now it is changing.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, now I yeah, yeah, yeah. So before actually starting the workshop, what I'll do, I'll talk about the 5 stages of design thinking. So design thinking is actually a process. In design schools, it is actually a design process, and it has 5 stages, which is empathize,
You are not audible, sir. Siddharth, sir.
Side and put
Sir, you are
yourself in
not.
user's shoe.
Sir, your
So
voice
empathy is
was
the
missed.
first.
Vishal,
Yes, sir.
you can do one thing. You can get presentation from Mr. Siddharth and share from your end, and then you can speak only on food.
Sir, actually, the sir has said that the size of PPT is large.
Yeah. Get it through Google Drive. So at least his
Yeah,
line.
yeah, that is the problem. So
So you can share the basics of PPT, removing few important things. Vishal will show the PPT from his end, and then you can speak on your mobile. So your band even you can work low bandwidth. Let's see if this works.
yeah, yeah. Let me just see. Yeah, I think power is back. So let me just try to.
Siddharth, sir.
Dr. Vishal, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Is it better?
Now it is better, sir. Sir, have electricity came back?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Let's continue. I'm so sorry. I think I was not prepared for this. So first, let's start. Okay. So I was
Yes, sir.
talking about 5 stages of design thinking: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And I think empathize, where you put yourself in user's shoe, how you see world from user's point of view. Okay, and a lot of times I think it is very difficult, easier said than done. A lot of times we are so much biased by our own way of looking at things, and we just assume that this is how users will kind of perceive, but it is very difficult. And I think you will realize, I think in the exercise which we have, right? So empathize with your users, research your users needs. Define is about just state your users need and problems and your insights. Okay, and so in define, you define your problem statements, define personas, and then kind of at least plan for ideation. This is a example of a persona, where you see this persona. There are goals, needs, primary usage or frequent task, what user does. And you can also mention, I think, pain points here. What are the pain points user is going through, right? uh, but I think when you actually do, just sketch it out, just do it on very quickly on paper. Don't spend too much of time. And I know it is very difficult in this short period of time. These design thinking activities or workshops are done, I think, over a few weeks or few months. So it is actually not possible in such short duration. But whatever can come to your mind. uh, Ideate, talking about ideate here, brainstorming. I think you might be all aware with this, right? How you challenge assumptions and create ideas for innovative solutions. So I think brainstorming is a very simple activity. Is like, if you, and how do you kind of do mind mapping? If you have to go out with friends, one example here, when you have to go out, what are other things which are related to that, right? And many other relations. So just trying to build out relations and mapping of the artifacts and entities. Prototype, I think here we are talking about prototype, paper prototype, and start to create a solution. So I think quickly you can create a prototype. uh, I think this prototype can be just sketch. It can be, you can actually, like here you see there is a mobile screen, and there is there is this whole strip, and there are various states of that strip, right? Which you can at least mark while user testing, right? So this is about prototype. And then about test. So how you can try your solution, test it out, and take these feedback. So this exercise, this 5-step process, which is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test, is actually very much, I would say, iterative. You see loops here. From empathize, there is one, I think, linear direction, right? This linear direction. But from empathize to define, you can come here. But from different stages, like from prototype, you can, if everything is fine, you go to test. Otherwise, you need to ideate again if your prototype is not working. If you again test, you see that it is not working, you need to go and ideate again, right? You might again need to do prototype also if prototype was not working well. Sometimes in the testing, some of the more insights come, which I again define the problem in more detail. So sometimes from testing, you can come to the empathize again and find out, because you would have find some insights at testing which you would have left to explore at an empathize stage, right? So it is very iterative process, right? And it is that's the whole beauty of it. And as I said, design. You call it a design process. You can call it a design thinking process. I think design thinking process. Thinking is a word which has been coined, I think, around 10 years back by the CEO of IDEO, which is one of the top design companies, similar to Frog, which I represent. So Frog and IDEO are top design companies. And Tim Brown, as a CEO of IDEO, who coined this term, design thinking. It is nothing but how you can participate with users, how you can make your users as a participant, as a part of your ideation process. You're not doing by yourself in isolation, but rather than you're going out, talking to users, and then doing the whole process. So that is the whole difference in, or how your design thinking process is little different. So I have one design brief for all of you. and I think it will give little break also to all of you that uh, I think with this all these hiccups and these things, I think let's just go into the small design exercise here. And again, don't underestimate. Don't think that you can't do it. It just needs a pen and paper and your thinking, and just go ahead and start ideating. So by following these 5-step process, you can take a screenshot, or you can just I'll keep I'll keep that slide available. And yeah so design brief is how might we design an improved experience of storing currency, credit card, debit cards, or in any other things to things needed to keep safe and make it available, whenever you need or while you're on move. Essentially, if you go through this design exercise, I think what we are talking about is design of a suppose wallet, right, or purse, right? But I actually specifically I didn't say purse, because what if you're coming up with something else and something better? And that's why your design brief has to be has to be open, in order to kind of allow your user allow yourself to kind of explore little beyond, right? And yeah so uh, just read it. What we will do, we'll go through one by one. uh, 10 minutes of empathize, 10 minutes of define, 10 minutes of ideate, 10 minutes of prototype, and 10 minutes of testing. I know it is difficult, but let's just go through, because otherwise I think it'll be just theory, and I don't want it should be just theory. So let's start with thighs. So can you just everybody take a screenshot of this, and so that you have your design brief now available with you. And if you have any questions, you can ask me right now before starting. Okay. So what we'll do, we yeah. I hope everybody has taken a screenshot or picture or anything which is easier to you. Just picture will do, I think. Yeah. Take a mobile phone and take a photo of your screen, or if you are joining from your mobile phone, take a screenshot. Okay, so what we'll do, so you have a design brief that how might we design an improved experience of storing currency, credit cards, or any other things which needs to be kept uh, safe, and make it always available whenever you need, or while you're on. I think little typo here. So just hold on. So I'll just go to empathize. So your 10 minutes of empathize, starts now. We have 2:23. Okay. And yeah, let's spend, I think, time till 2:33 on this empathize. Okay. So yeah, I think empathize with your users. I think you yourself, put yourself in users shoes. I think all of us are using purse in it at given point of time, and that's why I chose this object, because it is I think very familiar to everybody. And I think it becomes even more important when the product is something very different. Suppose if you're working on enterprise domain, sometimes you are working for a product which is you're not familiar with. It is even more important to get to empathize with your users, because until unless you do it, you'll not be able to understand the whole context, culture, and many other things which actually plays a very important part, right? So please spend time, 10 minutes of it, till I would say 2:34. I'll mute myself and let Vishal. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Sir, there is one participant from Dr. Kanchana. Due to some network issue, she didn't attend your question, sir.
Okay, I will go to the slides. So essentially, what we are doing, what we are saying, design a wallet or purse, but I have actually kept it little open. Where I'm saying, I mean, it could be anything. I mean, it could be physical experience, physical product, it could be digital product, right? Because the possibilities are immense, right? So that's why I have just kept it little open. But yeah, you can everybody can take a screenshot again. If you're done, then maybe I can go back to the previous slide. Empathize. I can do also one thing is maybe I can just type this design brief. The chat.
If any participant are getting any difficulty, they can write in the chat window. Contact with the Siddharth sir. Anyone have completed the emphasize phase? Confirm in the chat window.
So I think anything which is coming to your mind, I think in terms of empathizing, feel free and jot down on your pen and paper. I think in the end, I think some of you can share your experience. I think I kind of sometimes you feel that this is something new to you, you can't do it, and but you don't know your own potential sometimes, and you will come up with so many good solutions, but it is important to immerse yourself and empathize. So yeah, anything in terms of drawing, anything which is coming to your mind, just kind of sketch it, do it, and you will realize that how what amazing thing you have kind of achieved at time. So I mean, I think how you can share later is I mean, you can just take a photo from your mobile phone, and maybe share and have it on your laptop, either email it or whatever, right? Bluetooth, and then you can share your screen later while you talk about it. So just take a photo and have it on your laptop. So I think our time for empathize is over. Let's move to the kind of second one, which is define. And define is actually the state your users need and problem and your insights. So it is very important to first define the problems. What are the problems, right? Users are facing right now. Okay, so earlier you were doing just research, just initial understanding, feelings and everything. But now you are defining the problems, that what are your users' needs are, what are the problems they're facing, and what are your insights. You might come up with something new as a problem or need. uh, so define your problem in maybe one sentence, that this is what, like you have a design brief. You can, I think, a design brief is also you can say a problem statement. But if you want to redefine it, go ahead and do it. Once you do it, you can create a persona, and I'll give you example of persona. I think I just showed you, and then after that you will proceed to ideation. Persona is a potential user. When you think about persona, is kind of, you can say, characterizing a kind of generic user, a typical user, with personality, age, gender, likes, dislikes. You can give the name as well, if you want to, think about pain points, think about stuff he might use, right? What are, when again, related to needs, and wish list and everything, right? So you can so this is the example of the persona, right? I think main things to take it from here is goals, needs, primary usage or usage, or pain points. So these things are actually mentioned here. Maybe you can just refer it. I think next 10 minutes we will be doing define stage, so which is defining problem statement, defining personas. So till 2:45.
Siddharth sir. Hello, Siddharth sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, I have received one product. Can I show now or later?
No, later. There is
Yes,
this sharing your solution. So I think again,
I have
let's
received
follow.
one image from Mr. Mayank.
Okay, that's fine. No, but
Yes.
the whole idea is not. I mean, I think wait to go through all the
Last
processes,
five
because
phases. Yes, then yes, after five phases we can choose.
exactly. So right now, if we are at a define,
Yes, sir.
there is a ideate, prototype, and test, right?
Yes, sir.
So it is important to go through the process and not jump to the solution. And that is why I know what happens. Most of the time that we are given a problem and we just try to find a
Provide the
solution
solution. Yes.
without thinking about possible users. What are their needs. What their wants, right? So all of those things are important, and that's why we have to decide.
Yes, sir.
So you can surely share, but yeah, maybe you can just keep sharing to Vishal, and later he will share.
After the completion of five phases, you can share in the WhatsApp group. Then after I can share from there.
Okay, so I think you would have defined, obviously, briefly, the persona and the statement. The third step is, ideate. So, ideate is about challenge assumptions, create ideas, right? And what you can do is like, uh, you can start with the brainstorming first, like example which you see here. So you can keep, whatever, either you want to keep wallet or, purse or, any other thing which you have thought in mind, in the middle, or just a storage device, or, and then you start kind of creating more ideas and thoughts and connections. So yeah, I think 10 minutes for this. I think till 2:55. Please message me if you uh, don't understand anything on the chat window. I hope you are enjoying the process, and I think you will also realize that this is not as simple as it kind of seems like or feels like. When you go into details, you discover so many new things. So it is surely insightful. Uh, I think in the interest of time, we will move to the next step, which is prototype. Just in case you're still doing it, maybe you can complete that, but I'll just talk about prototype. So prototype is actually a just kind of experimental phase. You can now, whatever ideation you have done, you give it a shape in terms of papers, sketches on paper, like one of the example which you see here, which is kind of for a mobile app, but since you are thinking about suppose a wallet, a purse, right? How it will be, right? And what is your visualization of that? You can prototype that, and then yeah. So we have around 10 minutes for that. So till 3:05. And please ping me if you face any issue in the chat box. I hope you are enjoying your prototyping or sketching? So what we'll do, I think, yeah, we might skip test, because for test you might need, real users or people around you, and it is time taking procedure. So testing is all about, how do you want to kind of test what you have created. So we will skip it, but yeah, let's just complete prototyping till in next 5 minutes, and then some of you can share. So yeah, you can start sharing on WhatsApp group, and then Vishal can share. So I think we are skipping our the next phase. But yeah, maybe Vishal, you can take it over. And now we are in phase of share your solution. So, whoever has shared this, you want to talk about it? And also talk about the process, uh, the 5-step process. I mean, obviously, 4 in this case. Go ahead, please. So what I was saying that it is very exciting a workshop when it is done in the in physical space, something like in conference room, when more and there are group of people who are working it, because then you can collaborate more ideas, right, and come up with something very positive. So it is exciting that way. But yeah, I think given the constraints of the situation, we are just dealing with the remote connection here, and everybody is as an individual they're working. But yeah, it will be good to talk about maybe just in 5 minutes, and after that I'll take it for the other next slides. So I think it talks about, I think there is a card, coin, there is a tracking chip, there is the Aadhaar, there is a lock, plan for money. I can't read, but something. Yeah. So I think like one of the problems, typical problems you see is that your wallet is very heavy. It becomes very. I mean, I'm talking about uh, males, but yeah, obviously females. There are different situations, different settings. Like in males, your wallet is so big with all the cards and money and the coins, and coins are little tedious to handle, right? So and also when you have to take it out, it is clumsy. So how we can recreate those experiences, right? So these are the some of the insights I'm talking about in terms of pain points. Like a lot of ladies actually carry the purse also along with the mobile, which is a new use case these days, right? Earlier wallets doesn't used to have a mobile case, but now mobile is very integral piece. So purse has that, and people who are not speaking, maybe they can be on mute. So yeah, anybody sharing? So Priya, you want to share anything? So Vishal, I'll proceed with my slides. Okay, we have a solution here. So Priya, you want to talk about it?
Dr. Supriya, can you please unmute yourself? So you can please continue with the presentation. You can share your slides, sir.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Yeah. And I request to all participants, please now don't share any document on the screen. You can share me on the WhatsApp group. I will share it.
Sure. So, yeah, I think I do see some of the ideas on the paper. It kind of the whole process actually makes you think little deeper, right? And that's why the this design thinking process, which is normally you will see problem and you will directly jump to solution. But here, I think you will touch upon all the aspects of product usage and experience, and which is very important. So for designing it, these I think it becomes very important. Now coming to the next section, which is why design thinking is needed. So design thinking is needed because of change. In the times of change, we need new alternatives, new ideas, right? And right now, we are in the middle of massive change, right? I mean, this COVID situation, and this change is inevitable, right? You can't prevent it. So, and change is also constant. One of the things which is constant is change. So with this change, you always need new ways of working, new ways, new products. Like we are having this workshop right now on digital connection. It might would have been in physical space, right? So we're just trying to work out new ways given the situation, right? So, there could be one problem statement here that how we can create an experience for suppose conducting workshop in the remote setup, right? Like we are working with sharing photos and everything on WhatsApp, and then Vishal is sharing his screen. But what if there is a tool, which kind of enables this whole process in the online? So stuff which you were doing in the offline, which in the physical space, suppose in the conference room, in a normal setup, how we can achieve in the digital connection, right, and the virtual setup. That could be one of those things, right? Because it is triggered by change. Now we are in this situation. So that's why design thinking is needed. And if we just jump to the solution with the problem, I think it will be very difficult if we don't understand what kind of people are going to use and what are their needs and everything. It is very difficult. So, normally this process is, a kind of, conversion, right? Where you make choices based on available choices, right? So you normally kind of, you see, okay, these are options are there, and I converge and I make choices based on available choices. But what design thinking does is actually it asks you to create those choices. Okay, it asks you to not only just think about available choices, but it asks you to create those choices, new ideas, new things, which might not be existing, and you become participant. Instead of you becoming consumers, a consumer of those choices, you become participant and you take part in this whole creation process, right? Suppose you're kind of designing one product, for rural market. Actually you have to go to those settings, understand user, make participants, involved in your process, and then start doing it rather than designing it and based on assumption sitting here. So yeah, so this is the main difference with the design thinking. And I'll talk about so I have 15 minutes, maybe I'll just talk about a little bit of about good design. And there's a designer called Dieter Rams, a German industrial designer. He's kind of he has been like for three and a half decades. He was chief designer at Braun Products, this German company, consumer electronics company. And yeah, he actually had a few points, some principles of good design. These are some examples of his products, right? I think this is a kind of radio or music system, or this is a rack, this is calculator, again another music system or radio. He was actually chief designer of Braun Products in 80s. Okay, so we are talking about at least 40 years back. Uh, and yeah, so he has actually I mean did designed so many products. And I think one of the things which is very common in his this thing is minimalism. You see his products which are very minimal. All obviously, back 30 years back, some of the products which you compare from today, these might not look very minimal, but again, design is a evolutionary process. So, but it was very minimal at that point of time, right? And obviously, it evolves with the time. But if you see this, a radio here, it is still very minimal. I mean, if you just compare any other radio 20, 30 years back. So some of the things, which you see here, 1958, 2001, this is the iPod, right? And I think one of the things, which is kind of considered that, Apple products used Dieter Ram's minimal design principles very much, right? So Jonathan Ive, who was the chief designer of Apple, who used actually and followed the principles of Dieter Rams. And Dieter Rams actually proudly talks about it. He doesn't, he's not envy of doing anything. Rather than he's happy that somebody is using his design principles of good design, right? And that's how you see Apple products are so minimal, right, and so user friendly. So just briefly talking about good design principles of Dieter Ram. So good design is innovative. Uh, a good design is makes a product useful. It makes product aesthetic. Aesthetic is what we mainly think about, right, and useful, but it has many aspects. But aesthetics comes first in mind, when we talk about design. Makes product understandable, unobtrusive, which means that products fulfilling a purpose like tools. They are neither decorative objects nor workout. Their design should be therefore both neutral and restrained to leave room for users' self-expression. So what it says that there it should not be it should be neutral. The design should be neutral so that people can use based on their need. Honest, long lasting, thorough down to the last detail, environment friendly, and the last one is as little design as possible, which is minimal. And maybe if you want to take a screenshot, you can take it here, and it is very helpful, I think. Or maybe you can just search Dieter Ram. I think you will get all the good design principles. So I think and this is minimal is my favorite, by the way, but yeah, everything which is mentioned here is very, very relevant in today's time, even though it was kind of he coined all these principles 30 years back. And now coming to, sorry, just hold on. Coming to user experience design. So I think we are all talking about, now from design to user experience design. And I think user experience design is very, it's kind of, you can say, all outcome of design thinking process. If you're designing something very well, by following design thinking process, the experience will be, the probability of having at a very good experience, increases. So, the user experience design is an overall experience a user gets after services, right? And it is actually a combination of so many fields, interaction design, visual design. Again, here we're talking about digital experiences, but digital screens, but user experience is a very holistic topic. It is not only just applied to digital screens, but also the physical product design, because if it is the overall experience, whether it is a digital or physical doesn't matter, right? It has to do its work and provide you the best possible experience. That is a user experience, right? But normally people coin this user experience only with the digital software and products, but which is not right. I mean, it is a little more holistic. Human computer interaction, sound design, industrial design, like I talked about, right? Product design, industrial design is, and human factors is very important piece here, right? Going little more detail, right? They're talking about architecture, industrial, marketing, computer science, human ergonomics, motion design. And maybe I'll just specifically talk about computer science here. Why computer science is also part of user experience, because if you're designing a very good application, but if it is not coded well, it is not developed well, it is not responding based on the user intervention, it is not a good design, because the overall experience is perceived by the overall usage, not only just by design. Okay, design might be very good, but if it is not, it is not responding well, it is surely not good design, even though visually the good design will be good. And that's why it is important to perceive the design in a holistic way, not just from a look and feel point of view. So all these, everything possible, right from you order anything on Amazon till you get to your home, whatever things are involved, everything is part of your user experience. If something is not delivered well, if the delivery is taking more time, it is actually hampering your user experience. So it is actually physical product design, digital experience on the app, what you're doing, right? And also the service design, how service is being offered to you, right? So these are the three things which are, which kind of are main ingredients of user experience design. And every piece has to work very well in order to provide you best possible user experience. Now I think coming to the, this product innovation, and I think very related to design thinking, where you know how business, technology, and design can come together to make innovative products, right? Most valuable design or innovative product. uh, and the process which we followed, design thinking actually talks about these, that if you're designing well, but if it is not feasible or it is not viable from business point of view, it will not work. So only good design will not help if it is not viable and not feasible. And similarly, only good design with feasible but not viable. I mean, any two will not work or any one will not work. All three have to come together to make it possible. And that's where innovation happens. So it is that why it is multidisciplinary in approach, that different types of people come together with different experience and create that environment of innovation. Just talking about some universal principles of design, and I think it is very helpful for you. Affordance is one. I think form follows function. A property in which physical characteristics of an object and environment influences its function. So if you see this chair, the probability of using this chair will be more of sitting, right? Obviously, you can stand, you can use for some other purpose, but the main affordance is is for sitting, right? And you will use for that. So the every object has its own affordance for which it is perceived for its usage, and that is what affordance is about. I'm talking about five principles. There is a whole book which I will actually, share with you. You can have a deeper, read about it. 80-20 rule is about high percentage of effect in any large system caused by a low percentage of variable, right? For example, uh, 20% of the features in any application, I'm talking about the software, accounts to 80% of the usage. It is very relevant. And if it is that the case, then why not we focus more on 20, those 20% of the use cases, which will be used 80% of the time, rather than thinking about all 100% and making the whole design and the experience complex. Obviously, for other 20% of the people, you will need some edge cases and other things. But if you're taking care of 80% of the use cases, I think your product probability of getting your product successful, is more, right? And what we can, all the edge cases and all the kind of extreme use cases surely should be covered. But the focus should be on 80-20. For example, I think this 80-20 rule is universal design principles, applies to many fields, applies to organizations like, simply like, 20% of the employees, are paid, suppose 80% of the, money, right? Or 80%, 20% of the employees are kind of generating 80% of the revenue, right? Very similar to that, and it is very true in all aspects of life. Progressive disclosure is something as you progress in the phase, you actually start disclosing, things to user. So no, instead of putting everything in one step on one screen, what about you can plan in step by step manner and disclose as user progresses. And I think it is very helpful because you're not making it is complex in terms of information overload, and you're breaking in those steps. I think again it is very true for your real life situation as well. Aesthetic usability effect, like you see Apple products, Apple applications, all the aesthetically pleasing designs are perceived usable, right? And than the less aesthetic design. So that is for sure. I mean, anything which is looking good is perceived usable. Whether it is actually usable or not, you use it and then only you are able to, right? But it is at least perceived. So if you're doing actually aesthetically pleasing products, the probability of users using for the first time actually get increases. The next time onwards, your usability of the product will account for. But at least for getting introducing something new to the user, this principle surely holds true. And that's why people a lot of time focus on your aesthetic aspects little too much. But after aesthetics, the usability and the function part also is very important. Again, this is another example is flexibility usability trade-off, which is, as you start adding the flexibility into the system, the usability of the system decreases, right? You see example here, the remote, as simple it is, the usable it will be. And as it kind of, gets little busy, you'll have to spend some time to, figure out what means what, right? And usability surely decreases. So this is another one, and I think it's very true. And that's why we should actually try to create a balance between, how much flexibility we want to give versus how much usability it will offer. So this book is about. I just talked about 5 principles, but this book talks about you know all the possible principles, and you can take a screenshot. I just know Google. So books. It is available free on books.google.co.in, which is Universal Principles of Design. I think it is a good read. You can also order from Amazon.com a hard copy. Yeah, but it is something which I actually follow, and is really good read, and I think it will help you in your career going ahead. So yeah, I think I'll just close with I think one of the quotes from our founder, Frog founder, which was industrial designer Hartmut. So good design is not just a beautiful or fashionable, but must be identical and consistent in creating a social belonging, so that we know people actually think that product that it belongs to them, rather than something force fitting or something like that. I was wanted to talk about also about Frog. Maybe I'll just talk about Frog is a which company which I represent, is a global design and strategy company. It's a 50-year-old design company, and we have Hartmut, our founder, worked with Apple. In 80s, initial Mac models were designed by Hartmut. He worked with this, Steve Jobs. Currently, our work is in digital area mainly, but it is physical included. And I think with this, I'll just switch to here in Gurgaon and Bangalore. I live in which is based in Gurgaon. And yeah, we were talking about process, the design process. I introduced you to the design thinking process, very similar to that, And yeah, this our team in India. You see me in the top, in the middle here. And this is my Gurgaon team, Frog Delhi. And I'll just, kind of finish it with a small video, which is a frog video, right? And I think it is not loading very fast. Can you see my video slide, everyone? I think one more minute to go before we can call it out.
Video is not coming, sir.
So this is about work which
There is
we do at
only
Frog.
audio, sir. Video is not there.
Okay, so I think it is not loading very well. I think let's wait for that. Or maybe you can just go to frogdesign.com and check it out. I think it is not, the slides are not loading well. Yeah. So yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you everyone for joining, and I hope at least I was able to introduce you to at least initial high level understanding of design thinking. And yeah, feel free to ask anything if you have any queries. And sorry for the glitch in terms of connectivity, and I think it is very unpredictable working. So
If
sorry for
any
that.
participant have any query, they can unmute yourself or write your queries in the chat window. Siddhartha, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, sir. There are a few questions from the participants. Dr. Lalit would like
Yeah.
to know the highlights of design tools.
Okay, so I think maybe tools. When talking about tools, I think design tools are mainly, which we are using is Sketch. It is you know uh, uh, Adobe XD. We are right now started to use Figma. Uh, these tools are for digital experience, right? For creating digital screens. But as I talked about, I think if you're talking about product design, there are different other tools. Normally, for product design prototypes, you have to do physically, right? Physical prototypes. So that's how it is. Uh, so tools are many, but it is the process and the approach which is important. Anybody, I mean, in today's time, anybody who's aware about tools start creating design and the screens, but that's not the whole idea. The idea is that how we can understand our users better, what are their needs, what are the problems they're facing, and then start, designing for it. Uh, Elaborate about information system design thinking. Can you can you please be on mute? Who is not speaking? Uh, Maybe Vishal, you can make them mute. And yeah, so information design thinking. I think the process is very simple. Information system. I think any system you're designing, either enterprise or consumer applications. This process will be very much valuable. So I think it is just I think there is a lot of information available on interactiondesign.org. If you search design thinking, I think the first links you will get will be from interactiondesign.org, and read more. At least watch some videos which are available, and at least broaden your understanding. I know this 2 hour session is not enough for such a field which is kind of people study for as a 2 year design degree program, but yeah, at least you can get introduced to it and start following these processes. I didn't get this question. Which material you have to prepare for me, like this background, please? What is this? Are you talking about this image? I think this is like either you can do in Photoshop or Illustrator, any software for designing the screens, right? So this is a logo of my company. So yeah, that's it. Thank you everyone, and thank you Vishal and Professor Huda for giving me opportunity to share my thoughts on design thinking. But yeah, I think maybe in future we can have some workshops in physical space. That will be better, because it is difficult to have a design thinking workshop in such setup, and the outcome surely very different, because these activities are very collaborative in nature, and done in groups. So I think it is very important.
Yeah, Mr. Siddharth. Mr.
Yes, sir.
Siddharth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was an excellent talk, with in between few these technical glitches and some technical disturbances. But nonetheless, the exercise which you gave, that exercise was very useful, and I also enjoyed it. In fact, the today's time has already been started happening in day-to-day real life, that people have started thinking that how to innovate the processes and how to bring the design angle in that process. So process design we are talking. Of course, product design we were talking since ages, And then now in the field of software, people have started talking about interface design, design of input interfaces, design of output interfaces, design of touch and feel. And not only this, people want to ensure that design should be more innovative, design should be more creative, design should be more appealing to the customer. And this particular aspect will keep on increasing in the coming days, the way the penetration and the quality aspect is being improvised. So, with that respect, this talk was very useful. Nonetheless, of course, if it had been in a physical mode, probably that exercise part would have been much better. But whatever is the situation available, in that situation, within those constraints, this has been delivered nicely by you. And the concept of that frog design also was wonderful. So, thank you so much. And this certificate is to ensure that you keep remembering us that you have been part of this FDP. So thank you so much, Mr. Siddharth, and we'll meet again.
Thank you, Professor Huda. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I enjoyed talking to
Yes.
everyone on this topic. And thank you, Vishal. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
And dear participants, it is absolutely a new domain. Since last three,
Can
4 years, or maybe last 5 years, it has started picking up the momentum. And now many of the universities, many of the IITs have come forward for this. But this is absolutely new domain and will keep on flourishing in future. So thank you so much.
Siddharth sir, can you please share your contact details in the chat window?
Contact detail means
Say your
mobile.
email ID. Your email ID.
Okay.
There is a one person, Dr. Kavita Kote. She would like to talk to you regarding some design process and all.
Sure, sure. So design thinking process, which I talked about, 5-step process, is actually design process. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So it is actually just a new term for design process, which was taught to me in the National Institute of Design when I was studying my masters, right? But it is a new term. It's like, new jargon, new term. But I mean, as long as we are following the right process, I think the probability of getting the design right and the relevant design, I think, increases. Okay.
One more request to you, sir.
Yeah.
Please share the PPT of the session, sir, because participants have to appear in the objective type assessment exam.
Hmm.
So on the basis of your session, there will be few questions. So it will
Okay.
be grateful if you share your PPT, sir.
So I will share everything except frog, because
Okay.
frog is not the part of that.
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, I
Yes.
can share. I'll
Yes, sir.
share the
Please.
PDF. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for giving your valuable time to us, sir. It was
Thank
a wonderful session.
thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank
Bye.
you very much to all the participants. Now we will have a 15 minutes break and we will meet at 3:55 for the next session.